let me give you some of my sense of what political realities are. You know, I was 6 years on the Board of Health, 2 including chairman. And that taught me a lot about government. Let me tell you some things. Okay, first off, leaders make stuff up. Okay, they just tell you can't do it, and you say why, and they say, well, we have a rule, and you say, well, what's the rule? And then they get mad because you ask a question. And so during my 6 years on the Board of Health, I had repeated contact with the city attorney's office, with the city manager's office, and in 2012, when we found out at the Board of Health meeting that the mayor and the city manager intended to close the health department, they were going to turn it into a P.O. box and let the state health department take it over. When I talked to the Mayor Martin at the time, I said, what is this about? And he said, well, it's a done deal. Well, he's back from the things that he had to do with the Kansas talking about. And he says, there's really nothing you can do. You're just going to have to wow me. Okay? Well, let me tell you, I wowed it. I partnered with the County Medical Society. We got 6,000 signatures on a petition. We took it to the City Council, and it was such a juggernaut kind of effort that we got the mayor and the council to vote 7-0 to keep the health department open. And aren't you glad? So I think that one thing that I come into this with that I think gives me some distinction is I'm ready set. I've been involved in government for any number of years, both through the Board of Health. I've lobbied down in Austin. I've done a great deal working with nonprofits. For about 30 years, I've been on the South Plains Kidney Foundation, managing a 6-figure budget for patient services for like 1,800 people we have with dialysis and kidney failure, transplant, etc. across the South Plains. So I've got that kind of experience. But one thing I don't think we've really articulated very well is there's both an internal focus and an external focus. The internal focus, I think a lot of people have been talking about that tonight, saying we want to look at budgets, we want to have transparency, we want to just make sure all the money is spent well. But I think one thing that we fault on, because here's another political reality. For a lot of the people down in Austin, Texas ends around Abilene, okay, that they don't consider anything west of there. And so we get the handouts, we get the little, pieces from the table. And so one thing we can appreciate is that if you want to get some of this fixed, again, I'm a very pragmatic person, it's about money. Okay, we've got to come up with the money. It's interesting that of the 4 people running news to the board, we're all mental health therapists. We've got 2 social workers and 2 psychologists. So maybe we all agree that we need to do better about mental health. But I should remind you that, and I mentioned this at another meeting, where any of y'all ever heard of the Thank God for Mississippi Committee? Okay, what that's for is that's so that whenever we talk bad about Texas being 49th in something like mental health spending or other things, we say, well, thank God we got Mississippi because they're worse. I don't want to continue to rely on the Thank God for Mississippi Committee. I think we can do a lot better, but again, it's going to take some political will that we've got to get down to Austin, and we've got to say we want funding. And not let them, remember how the lottery, when it came out, they said, oh, well, that's going to go to education. Yeah, like, no. All right. Now, we've got an opportunity, and I'm not saying we need to study this further, but some of y'all may have kept up with the fact that about a week and a half ago, New Mexico changed a law. And they're going to make $90 million this year in taxes. Okay? Now, it's inevitable that Texas is going to follow this same law. And when that happens, Texas being about 12 times bigger than New Mexico, we're talking close to $1 billion worth of new tax revenue. So I want to find the ways to be better stewards of our money, but we have got to be active in an external way down in Austin to get those people to pay attention to us and not let them make these pledges. Because I think that, and I was over at Cherry Point not too long ago, and what I heard clear from that group was that we're tired of studying stuff. We're tired of forming committees and discussing things, because let's face it, thought without action is zero. Okay, so we got to have a political will, and we can do it, and we can make this a better community. But I think it starts. See, schools are primary prevention. A lot of when we talk about crimes, that's the after effect of it. If you want to deal with those issues, you deal with them first off in the schools as one part of it. So there's a lot of partnership to go on. There's a lot of other things to go on. And I think the advantage I have is that I've really kind of been in the thick of this for a lot of years. Not only on my own case in terms of 35 years in service, but watching my father as a pediatrician, be one of the first pediatricians in this town, and all the service that he provided to the children in this community. And so I want to continue that trend, and I want to represent you on the school board. Thanks.